Hi, welcome to Corefusion Yoga for hips on my patio. Let's begin in a cross-legged position. Hands can be on the thighs or down in front, finding those sit bones firm and even beneath us. All of the crown long through the spine, just relaxing the muscles of the face. Find your breath. Inhaling in through the nose, into the belly, up into the lungs. Exhaling from the lungs, the belly, and the nose. This time, as you exhale, draw the navel to the spine, round out. And as you inhale, bring the chest forward. Inhale deeply. Exhale, round out, navel to spine. Inhale, open up through the heart and the front body. And exhale, curling back. It's a little modified cat and cow, great for the spine and openness through the lungs. Let's draw one more time, navel to spine, round out. Inhale, open up through the heart and through the lungs. And then let's take the hands all the way up overhead, bring our palms together, and a little twist off to that right side. Inhale, come all the way up, rotate through the waist and twist off to the left side. Think nice and tall as you're doing this, navel pulled in. Inhale, come up. Exhale, rotate to the right. And this time just stay here. Bring the head back to center. Tilt left ear to left shoulder, feeling that nice long stretch from the right ear, down the right shoulder, down the outside of the right arm. And then gaze towards that shoulder. Feeling that stretch move to the back of the neck. And breathe. Let's bring the head back to center. Back over your shoulder. Inhale, come all the way up. Rotate off to the left side. Gaze to the left first, and then slowly bring your gaze to center, right ear to right shoulder. Feel that nice long stretch. And then rotate to gaze towards the tip of the shoulder. Keep reaching back with the left arm. Let's bring that gaze back up to center and then back over that left shoulder. And then inhale those arms all the way up tall and hands down to heart center. Let's take our fingertips to the tips of our shoulders and do a few shoulder rolls. Elbows together, wrists together behind the head, and roll around. Elbows together, wrists or attempted wrists together, and then roll around. Create those nice big stretches through the shoulders in one direction. And then go in the other direction. Wrists together, elbows together, and big shoulder rolls. Watch that you're not pulling the head forward when you attempt to bring your wrists together. Let's bring the palms together, intertwine those fingers. Press the palms out and all the way up to the sky, and then bring them back to the pelvis and back in. And press the hands together, feeling the stretch of the wrist, intertwine, lift all the way up, and bring them back in. Just tuck that right leg off to the side as we come into mirror person or mermaid. Lifting that left hand all the way up, tuck it to the ear, feeling that nice long stretch through that left side body. And if this bothers your hips, remember you can always extend that right leg. If you'd like to reach the left arm a little higher for a little extended stretch, go ahead. But try to keep those shoulders stacked one over top of the other, as if you were sandwiched between two panes of glass. Bring that hand down, bring the feet in front, low collars to shake out those hips. Soles of the feet together, drawing that navel in, opening up through the heart. Let's roll open through the chest, the tips of the shoulders roll back as you lift out of the sit bones and lengthen out through the inner thighs. Externally rotate those thighs as you reach those thighs away from the hips. Continue to breathe, relax through the jaw. And then come back and move into the other side. Just tucking the left leg on top of the right. You can keep the left hand on that left shin bone as you bring the right hand. Lifting the elbow, opening through the front body here. And again, feel free to reach if you'd like a little longer stretch through the side body, palm towards the earth, keeping shoulders stacked one over the other. And try to continue to lift out of the left side as well. Try not to compress, but lift up through the spine as you stretch. Let's bring those hands down, roll around onto all fours. We come into little tabletop position. Wrists directly under our shoulders, knees directly under those hips, a little gap between the knees. Round out, exhaling as you move into cat pose. And then inhaling to curl up into cow. Round out, exhale, tuck the chin, tuck the tail. Inhale, keep lengthening through the spine in cow as well. And exhale, round out. And just follow the movement of the hips. We're going to keep the hips tall over top of the knees as we reach those hands down in front into little happy puppy pose. Feel that nice stretch in through the chest and in through the shoulders. Keep lifting the tail. Keep drawing the navel in and the pelvic floor lifted. And then bring those forearms below those shoulders. Lift the tail all the way up, coming into little rabbit. The tip of the forehead lining up with the elbows as you press away from your forearms. So again, a really nice shoulder stretch. If this does bother your shoulders in this position, you can always cross your arms instead. Let's lower the hips down, coming into a modified plank from the toes or from the knees. And again, feeling the shoulders pressing wide away from one another. Let's lower down to our hips. Keeping those elbows directly underneath the shoulders, coming into little sphinx. Draw up through the navel and press the toes into your mat. Feel the breastbone rise and lengthen forward. If you'd like to add a little lift as you inhale, feel free to press out of the floor. But avoid the compression of the lower spine. Draw the navel in to protect it. Lengthen the spine. Feel the crown lengthening away from your spine and lifting up. The gaze staying in line with that breastbone. Let's take one more deep breath in and then lower on down. Hands to the armpits. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Come up into a little modified plank and then right back to child's pose. Curling the tail down towards your heels. Stretching those arms out in front. Opening through the upper back and that lower spine. Let's come back forward into our tabletop. And we're just going to make circles with the spine and a nice neutral spine. Roll off to one side, around to the other side, and then forward, feeling the stretch through the wrists and in through both hips. Creating those nice little circles. You can go as slow as you need to for this. And then let's go in the other direction. Big circle, hips off to one side, then to the other. And forward, trying to keep that nice flat back as you're doing this stretch. And then come back into that tabletop. Readjust your shirt. Hands underneath the shoulders, tuck those toes, and lift all the way up into downward facing dog. Maybe just pedal out the knees, pedal out the hips. We want to roll our biceps towards our ears as we open through the width of the back. Drawing shoulders away from the ears. Let's come up onto those toes, lower to the heels for a stretch. Up onto the toes, lower to the heels. Remember, don't force this. Just feel that gentle stretch up through the calves and the Achilles. Let's lower to the knees, press back into child's pose, curling the tail under. And then bringing the breastbone forward first, we're going to come up into that cow position and then curl into cat. Come into cow, curl into cat. You can move into one more cow or lower the hips and lift your knees into upward facing dog. Curl the toes under, draw the navel in, press back to downward facing dog. Inhale up into the toes. Exhale down to the heels. Let the sit bones reach up and away from you, up on the toes. Exhale to the heels. Inhale up and exhale down. This time nice and tall up under the toes, lower to the shins, press back to that child's pose. Tail curls under, stretch through that lower spine. Forearms down to the ground. As you slide the breastbone forward and then lift the crown up into that cow. Round out into cat. Inhale to cow. Feel the movement of the spine. Tilt of the tail under and up. Again, that last cow can be your upward facing dog. And then back to your down dog. This time take your right leg all the way up tall. We're going to take a big step to the outside of our mat and just to the outside of that right hand. Knee over top of the ankle, turn slightly out. That back leg can stay long, or you can lower the knee down to your mat. Let the hip shift forward, keeping the sacrum as flat as possible. Hand can spin up to that sacrum or lift it tall to the sky as we come into the little twist pose. Drawing that navel in, feel the pressure through the mat, up through the arms, up across the chest and out through the fingertips. Knees staying in the direction of the toe. Let's lower to that left leg, rotate and pivot into a modified side plank, or extend both legs into full side plank. So you decide. If this bothers your wrist, you can always come down onto your forearm. Let's come back into tall plank or lower to your knees for modified. Take a deep breath in and exhale, breastbone and belly to the floor. And a little baby cobra to extend through the spine. Lowering down, take a deep breath in. Exhale, press, reverse that push-up all the way back to your downward facing dog. Let's extend the other leg all the way up. A big step out to the outside, and that leg might take a little nudging with the hand if you need to. However you get there, you get there. Keeping the left hand down or right hand down, lift the left hand all the way up. And again, it can rest on the sacrum or it can lift tall to the sky. Keeping that knee in the same direction as the toe, stacked over top of the ankle. The back leg is reaching. Feel the stretch in through the hip. Let's press that foot back and come into either modified side plank or regular side plank. And the feet can be stacked or they can be scissored. Let's rotate back into our full plank, nice and tall or modified to the knees. And then slowly chaturanga down, breastbone and belly touching at the same time. Hands come underneath the forehead, draw the navel in, and then a little lift, and then lower back down. Feel the strength of that low back. Inhale, come up, and lower back down. This time, inhale, lifting hands and toes. Exhaling, open up hands and toes, and come on back down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, wide through the hands, wide through the toes. Bring them back to center and lower down. Continue to draw your navel in as you strengthen through this low back. Strengthen through the gluteal muscles, feeling the sit bones reach into the hamstrings, lengthening more than lifting. Let's bring hands back to armpits. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, reverse that push-up to the knees or to the toes, and back to our downward facing dog. We're going to extend that right leg up again. And then this time, bring it through into pigeon pose. Right knee to right wrist, encouraging that right ankle to come up towards the left wrist. And then just slowly shift your body weight back to bring that right shin bone forward. Take a look at your left toe. See if you can lengthen it away from the left shin rather than letting it curl. And just hanging out in proud pigeon for a few breaths, lifting up through the breastbone. Navel draws in, finding the stretch into the hip flexor. And then when you're ready, go ahead and come down into a sleeping pigeon. The head can hover, it can rest on the hands. The hands can reach out in front and the forehead can rest onto your mat. Or if you have a block, maybe your forehead will rest on your block. You can add a little bit of movement, shifting your hips side to side, really feeling the stretch into the left or into the right bum cheek. Trying to keep our hips and our shoulders parallel to the floor. You can continue to encourage your right knee to open up. But if this isn't comfortable, feel free to come into a wide-legged child's pose or into a seated pigeon instead. And just allow your body to melt into this pose. Breathe into your right hip. You know, this is my favorite pose, so we might hang out here for a little longer. Let's bring our hands down and bring that back leg all the way around. Ground both sit bones firmly into your mat and evenly. That back leg can come into the front of the shin or right across that right thigh. But make sure that left sit bone stays down in this position. You can always extend your right leg as you come into seated twist. Hugging the left thigh up into the belly, rotating to look over right shoulder. And sitting up tall. And take one more deep breath in, lengthening through the spine. And then exhale, a little counter twist to the other side. Bringing that left leg up, we're going to just tuck it into the knee crease, into a little half locust, or you can bring it down in front into a cross-legged position. Inhaling the hands all the way up. Bring left hand under right hand, coming into a modified eagle arm, or twist tie into eagle arms. Lifting up tall as we exhale, draw the navel in, bring elbows towards the pelvis, round up through the back. Inhale, lift up tall. Exhale, pull the navel in. Feel this really nice big stretch across the shoulders and the upper back. Try to relax into your hips in this pose. If this is not comfortable, modify your legs. And let's take one more deep breath in, untwist your hands and bring them on down to the back hips. Just going to rotate around back into our tabletop. Nothing fancy. Hands underneath the wrist, and maybe just a few cat and cows just to release through the spine and set up for the other side. Let's tuck those toes. Lift on up. Lengthen through the tail. Up onto the toes, into a flow, tall plank. This is optional, this flow. We can lift our right leg up or left leg. I think I have left leg up. And then slowly chaturanga down on one leg. You can lower that to the ground into a little baby cobra or upward facing dog. Draw the navel in, press back to down dog. We're going to do one more flow on the other side. Again, this is just for fun. Lifting up the other leg into a little three-legged plank. Exhale, chaturanga down. Drawing those elbows back, hugging the biceps to the ribs. And then inhale up into little baby cobra or upward facing dog. Tuck the toes. Take it back to our down dog. And go ahead and lift that left leg all the way up. And bring it through into pigeon on the other side. So left knee coming up to the back of the left wrist. Encouraging that left ankle to slide up towards the right wrist. Lengthening the toe away from the shin bone, but if it bothers your knee, then flex the foot. Slide your weight back. Encourage the shin bone to roll forward as your pelvis and the hips melt towards your mat. Lengthen your right toe away from the shin bone. Feel tall and proud pigeon, breastbone lengthening and lifting. One more really deep breath, and then floating on down into our sleeping pigeon. Hands again can rest below the forehead, reach out in front, or let the head just hover, or maybe use a block. And again, you can add a little bit of movement through the hips. Let's feel that really good stretch into left bum cheek. And allow the belly to melt towards the shin bone. And just breathe. Again, please modify to a wide-legged child's pose or a seated pigeon if this is uncomfortable at all. Let's take maybe one more really deep breath. And then slowly work your way back up. Coming back onto your sit bones, bring that back leg all the way around. Tuck the heel towards the shin bone or up and over top of that left thigh. Making sure right sit bone stays down on your mat. Windmill the arm all the way up. Let it act as your second spine as you hug the right thigh to belly and come into a gentle seated twist. Option to lengthen out the left leg or just cross the legs in front. Let's inhale, lengthening through the spine. As you exhale, melt into that twist. One more breath. And then inhale, feeling nice and tall. Open up through the chest. And exhale, a little counter twist to the other side. Let's go ahead and take that right leg off. Again, tuck the foot into the crease of the knee or just in front of the shin bone. Come into a little half locust. We want to find the sit bones firm and even, but the hips nice and relaxed. So if the knees start to lift and modify these. Coming into a little modified eagle pose with the arms or twist tie into full eagle. Right arm under left. Exhaling the elbows to the navel or to the pelvis. Inhaling to lift back. Exhaling, round out, pull the navel into the spine. And inhale, think tall. Keep shoulders relaxed away from the ear. Be aware of them creeping up. Rounding out, feeling that big stretch through the shoulders, the upper back. Lifting up tall. And exhale. Let's inhale and bring those hands all the way up for a big stretch. And then on the exhale, bring them back down to your hips. Let's release those legs. Take them out in front. Knees and heels hip width apart. Find those sit bones firm into your mat. Lifting up tall first, and then curl the tail under as you just hinge back slightly. You can bring those feet up parallel to your mat, pressing up through that imaginary wall, or you can keep the heels on the ground. Let's inhale that left hand all the way up and lower down. Inhale the right, really draw in through the navel and exhale down. Open the arms to the side, round out and curl. Inhale, come up, chest is lifted. Exhale, down to curl. Alternate which hand is on top. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, curl down, navel nice and tight. One more time. And slowly lower right down to your mat. Let's draw those knees into the armpits. A little gentle rock side to side. Releasing through the back and in through the hips. And then take those heels down in line with your sit bones, palms to your mat. Knees over top of the heels, a little gap between the knees. Coming up into a little bridge pose. Press your hands into your mat as you lift your hips. Inhale your hands overhead, back to the floor behind you. Lower the hips. Inhale, lift up, or exhale, lift up. Inhale, lower the hips, lift the hands. Exhale, press the hands to your mat, lift the hips, a little squeeze of the glutes, but reaching the sit bones to the back of the hamstrings, and then lower down one vertebrae at a time. And one more time. Lift on up. Feel the stretch through the hip flexors, through the thighs. And then slowly lower on down. Reach your hands all the way up and then curl up into a little ball. Reach towards the ankles, drawing knees towards your forehead. Inhale the arms out, lengthening left leg, and then curl into a ball. Inhale, lengthen out, lengthen the other leg, and curl into a ball. Bring the heels back down to the floor, reach your hands overhead, and then bring them to your hips as you lift your hips up into bridge. And lower back down. Curl into a little ball this time. If you'd like to lengthen both legs, you can, or reach out with the right. Bring it in. And then reach out with the left, drawing that navel right to the spine, working on through the core. Lower the heels, lower the hands. We're going to keep our knees over top of the hips, and then I'll do a little rotation off to that left side, working through those oblique muscles, drawing the belly in, lengthening the tail, trying to lift the right hip over top of the left. Bring those knees up to center and let them roll off to the other side. Hands are wide, keeping shoulder blades into the mat. Bring knees back to center. Exhale off to the other side. Really tighten through the core, lifting that top hip, working it a little harder. Bring knees back to center and off to the other side, lifting left hip, working the obliques, keeping those knees right together and stacked, and then go ahead and let them roll over off to one side. We're going to stack our hips, stack our shoulders to start, and then open up into our twist, just hitting the twist a little differently. Feel the stretch through the chest more now than the hips, keeping those hips nice and tight and stacked, feeling that rotation through the waist. And if your shoulder blades and arm don't touch the ground behind you, that's okay. Use a block or a pillow, or maybe tuck your hand into your hip or into your ear for support. But just feel this really nice stretch across the chest and the front of the shoulders. Bring hands back to center, bring knees into the belly as you curl off to the other side. Stacking right hip over top of left hip, bringing hands together, stacking the shoulders to start, and then open that right hand out. Again, find the option for your arm that allows you to rest in this pose, either into your back hip pocket, out to the side, or up to your ear. But feel the stretch across the chest and into the front of the shoulder. Focusing on the mid to upper spine here. Let's bring those hands back together first, and then bring those knees back to center. We're going to cross left ankle over right thigh, coming into our little figure 4. The right leg can stay on the ground, or it can come up, hands around the back of the thighs or around the shin bone. Flexing the left foot, support that knee joint. The right ankle might do a couple of circles in one direction and the other. But keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears. You might need to use a strap here if you find that your chin and shoulders are pulling up. You want to continue to press the left knee away from the left shoulder and draw the right knee towards the right shoulder, feeling this great stretch in through that left bum cheek and left hip. Let's take that right leg to the wide side of our mat and then internally rotate it. The left heel can stay on top to encourage this stretch, but if that bothers your knees, unstack and just cross them, or uncross and stack them instead. Lengthen the right knee away from the right hip. Create a nice long line from your spine down through your top thigh bone. Feel the knee reaching away from the hip as you come into the stretch. Navel is drawn in, back is long, foot stays flexed. And hands can cactus out to the side or come wide into a T, whatever works for you. Let's just bring those legs back together, open them up into little frog legs, give them a little flutter, release that stretch through the hips. If you'd like to add movement through the arms this time, you can. Your wrists can slide along the floor. My ground is wet, so my wrists are hovering a little bit, but feeling the stretch across the chest. Ribs staying connected to your mat. Low back staying in its natural curve. Shoulders staying away from the ears as you reach up and away. And then bringing those legs back up. Give yourself a little curl. And then let's take the right heel over top of the left knee. Again, left foot can stay on the ground. It can come up hands behind or around the front of the shin or use the strap. Keep right ankle flexed. Rotate through left ankle. Encourage the right knee to press away as you release tension through that right hip. And encourage the left knee to pull towards the left shoulder. And breathe. Again, try to stay wide through the chest, shoulders are down. Chin tucked slightly in through the back of the neck is long. And then bring that left foot to the outside seam of your mat. Internally rotate, keeping the foot flexed. Right ankle can stay on top just to encourage, or it can tuck underneath. Allowing the hips to press forward, that left knee to reach away from the hip flexors. Navel staying drawn in. Hands can cactus out to the side again, or wide T. And just feel this nice stretch in through the hip, through the knee, through the outer thigh. And then release. Bring those soles of the feet back together, back into little frog legs. Release through the hips, give them a little flutter. And then you can stay here if you choose, or lengthen on out into your own Shavasana. So your own resting pose. Legs can be wide to your mat, palms can sit on the belly or out to the side, or the knees can be bent, one or both. And just take a few moments just to enjoy all that you've done in this last 30 minutes. Allow your body to settle. Be grateful for what it allowed you to do in movement and in breath. Inhaling in through the nose, into the belly, up into the lungs. Exhaling from the lungs, the belly, and the nose. With every inhalation, feeling very long. And with every exhalation, feeling the body become heavy and melt into your mat beneath it. Feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. Or feel free to draw those thighs back to the belly one by one. Gentle rock side to side. And just finishing off one side in a little fetal position, palms underneath the forehead. Taking just a moment or two before slowly bringing your body up into cross-legged. And just finding the sit bones firm and even into your mat, lifting tall through the spine, up through the crown. We're going to exhale our gaze off one shoulder. Inhale back to center and exhale off the other side. Inhale back to center. Exhale, gaze to that shoulder, lifting through the crown. Inhale, center. And exhale. Bringing your gaze back to center, tuck chin to throat, gaze towards the breastbone. Inhale the gaze and the hands wide to the sky. Embrace the space, this time in your practice. And namaste. Thank you for joining me today. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time.